That's the Open for Stream On, another show which is on the network here. But that's not ours. We are World Soccer Daily, and I'm Jim. He's Amadeus, and some days you hit the wrong button and things happen. What are you gonna do? Anyway, Amadeus, it's a great day. Good to see you. You're up in the area there in Canada where it is sunny. I'm here on the East Coast where at the moment it's been rainy, but you know it is not a bad Wednesday as Wednesdays go, and Wednesdays usually are pretty big soccer days, and I assume today is no different.
Yeah, definitely. Wednesday seems to be that day right in the middle of the week. So if these leagues are going to have a midweek match, a bulk of them tend to go on Wednesday, and that's exactly what we see in the MLS. I'm pretty sure you have every single team playing tonight, so get your 14 screens ready. And even Argentina and Brazil have come back, so there's a few matches. Not every team plays; they break it up a bit more. But yeah, there's two Argentina matches. I think there's 4 or 5 in Brazil. There's also some U21 Euro Championship. If you're into the U21 soccer, I'm personally not because I have this rule I follow with the U21. If these players were really that good, they would be playing for the national team, not the U21 team. So I have no interest in those matches.
Well, we also have baseball. Let me run the scoreboard here real quick. Top 7, the Rays are beating the Orioles 4-1. Orioles won last night in that game. Bottom of the 7, for those of you who are Blue Jays fans up in around Amadeus's country, it is Blue Jays 5, the Marlins 3. You got the Rockies 3, the Reds 3. You got the Pirates losing to the Cubbies 5-1. Kansas City and the Tigers. It's the Tigers on top 4-2. Mets and Astros are just getting started. Same with the Diamondbacks and the Brew Crew, as well as the Cardinals and the Nationals. Although, as it's raining here, I'm pretty sure it's probably pretty close to raining over at the stadium. So I don't know if that Nationals Cardinals game is going to get started on time. But you know that those are the scores. Now, let's run down the MLS scoreboard. I'm sorry, not scoreboard yet, but list of games for tonight. And you can tell me which ones are the ones that we should be paying attention to there, Amadeus. It's Atlanta United against New York City FC. It's Cincinnati at Toronto. It is Montreal down in Nashville. Great city down there. New York, the Red Bull visits Charlotte. Orlando is in Philly. You got Houston taking on the Earthquakes. You got St. Louis and Salt Lake being played in Salt Lake. Austin and Dallas being played in Dallas. Colorado against the Whitecaps in a good game there a little later tonight. Also later tonight, LA Galaxy playing Sporting Kansas City. That game will be in Kansas City. The Galaxy, and then LA, the other LA, against the Sounders, and the night gets topped off as Portland visits Chicago, and that scroll down, Argentina. You've got San Lorenzo and Estudiantes. Is that the proper pronunciation?
Estudiantes.
Estudiantes, thank you very much. And these are on Paramount Plus later today.
Is that where they show it? Interesting.
Yeah. And Cordoba versus, is it In La Plata?
Gimnasia.
I'm sorry?
It's Gimnasia.
Gimnasia. Oh, okay. The G is okay.
Yeah, I know that was something that it's like I've seen a few Mexican names where Jimenez is a GI. I guess there's some sort of rule in Spanish where the GI makes a H sound, but it doesn't always because I'm pretty sure in Spain the club Girona is GI and that's pronounced Girona. But
and then you were talking about Serie A in Brazil. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, all of these are on Paramount Plus tonight. The games on Brazil, they get underway.
Wow, lucky you guys. I wish they were on Paramount Plus up here.
Paramount Plus has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games on the docket. Let me make sure. 8 games on the docket today, and Apple TV Plus has the entire MLS schedule. So you know where to find it, folks. Only two. You only have to go 2 places to get it. Paramount Plus International, local in the United States. It is it's a trip to good old Apple TV. So that's where we are in that regard. So that's quite a few things happening there. Some very interesting things going on. So that's what we can tell you right now. What are some of the things you look forward to today? I mean, we were just talking about so many games, so little time.
Yeah, there's a lot of games, and honestly, it's a pretty good board. I do like it here. We'll start. We'll go alphabetically. We'll start in Argentina. So the one match with Central Cordoba and Gimnasia. I kind of like Central. Yeah, I kind of like Central Cordoba at the plus 120. They're at home. This Gimnasia team, I've watched them in their last few matches, and they're good at home, but they're not that good on the road. And they're already a team that even when they're at home, they struggle to score goals. So I could see them completely getting shut out here by Central Cordoba. I think Central Cordoba probably only needs 1 goal to win this match, and that should be something they can get at home here. So I think there's a little bit of good value on that plus 120.
Okay, so that's what. Yeah. Now, I know that sometimes you do and sometimes you don't dabble into the MLS. Anything in the MLS that interests you, John?
Oh, yeah, definitely. So for the MLS, I actually really like the under in the Toronto FC and Cincinnati match. So Cincinnati is obviously the number 1 team in the MLS right now. They got the best home record at 9-0-0. And they are just absolutely rolling teams at home. But you know, they have a very good defense that doesn't give up a lot of goals. Their attack can score goals, but their last match at home was only a 1-0 win over the Chicago Fire. And looking at this Toronto FC team, as bad as they are, they're a bottom 5 team in the MLS. I'm not talking Eastern, Western. This is the entire MLS. They're in the bottom 5. And they're definitely not good on the road. But they've actually drawn their last 3 matches, and they've been hitting the under a lot because of their defense. They're actually playing a lot better defensively. Their last 3 matches were 1-1, 1-1, and 0-0. So, you know, as good as Cincinnati has been, I think Toronto FC is going to be in a spot here where they know, you know, the best team in the league right now on the road. We got to play well defensively. If we don't give up a goal, we can come out of this match with some points. So I think that one stays under 2.5 because I think Toronto FC can do enough where Cincinnati won't score too much, and I don't see Toronto FC scoring in the game personally.
Well, there you go, going that way. There's 3 teams in LA, and you know, from that standpoint, I know that there's a lot of soccer fans in Los Angeles, and most of the reason there's 3 teams in Los Angeles because they have a very Hispanic, group of fans that will go out and watch all 3 of them. You know, I think that LAFC probably has the largest following of teams in Los Angeles, but the other 2 don't do badly either.
It's funny because the Galaxy are the more decorated team. They've been in the league the longest. You would think they'd have the bigger fan base, but personally, you know, I think their home stadium's kind of crap. And I think we've touched on that on the story. They play it basically like it's a shared soccer/tennis facility. Yeah. So LAFC has a very nice stadium, and obviously, you know, when they came into the league, they made a big splash with all these big names. Obviously, Carlos Vela. They had Bale for a little bit. So yeah, they're spending the money, and obviously they pretty much bought their fan base by putting a good product out on the field and spending the money to do so, which as an expansion team, that's what you want to see, right? You don't want to just pay the fee, come in the league, and say, okay, we're here, we'll finish last every year. Like a few of these, that's how it used to be with the expansion team. Cincinnati was so bad for so many years when they first came in, and now look at them. Last year was a big stepping stone year for them. They made the playoffs. That was huge because they were one of the worst teams in the MLS for years prior to that, and now they're the best team in the league with the most points this year. So. Yeah, definitely. It's always good to see that. But yeah, this LAFC team has a big following. While we're talking about LAFC, yeah, Carlos Vela, his contract's going to be up soon, and from what I hear, it looks like Ronaldo is unhappy in Saudi Arabia playing for Al Nassr because they haven't been doing a lot of the things they promised him. And it seems like Cristiano Ronaldo with that Messi move now to Miami, it seems like Ronaldo is he is the preferred choice of the LAFC front office for replacing Carlos Vela when his contract expires, because it looks like Vela will not be staying in LA.
Well, the other good news with regard to their stadium, it's literally, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 blocks from the LA Coliseum, which is the home of USC, and it's right down, in the center of Los Angeles. So, the problem with the Galaxies, they play in Carson, which is a suburb of Los Angeles. I mean, Los Angeles is massive. Okay, so we can talk about, you could be 45 miles away from Los Angeles and still be in LA County. So, it's quite a trek. But building the stadium, which they did, LAFC's ownership, building it right downtown and right near the Coliseum, makes it easy for people to get to. And it's not so easy going out and playing in Carson as it is LAFC did. So good on them. It's BMO Stadium is the name of the place, and I think it seats about 24,000 in that realm. Everybody's got. I mean, it's really not a bad seat in the building, and so it does blend itself to. For instance, we have not, from the Crypto Dome, which used to be called Staples Center. It's probably about a 10-minute walk, so you can get there from just about any of the major facilities in Los Angeles. So it's not bad.
Have they still not legally changed it to the Crypto Dome? What are they doing?
They're just they're screwed up. Okay, I can't help it.
We're giving them gold over here.
Right, take it now. Before there's no crypto to worry about.
Before you go copyright trademark that name.
Right, exactly. We're gonna do it. We'll sell it to you.
Yeah, you want the Crypto Dome? You can have it for a price now.
For a price, and don't tell me how many tickets you're gonna get. That's not gonna fly. So anyway, by the way, the Carson setup is where the Chargers and the Oakland Raiders were at one point going to build a stadium together, which would have put those two teams in Los Angeles. But as we all know, Stan Kroenke, built the SoFi Stadium, and the rest is, as they say, history. Oakland Raiders are now in Vegas, and the Chargers and the Rams are playing in SoFi. So that's where they're at.
He did not build a stadium over there. He built a monster complex.
Oh yeah, it was just $3.5 billion complex. Which, by the way, Steve Ballmer, another long line of Los Angeles billionaires.
A lot of Steves, a lot of LA Steves,
a lot of LA Steves, a lot of LA billionaires.
LA billionaire Steves.
Right, exactly. So he bought the old Coliseum, the Coliseum Forum Building, which Jack Kent Cooke built in the 70s. And he's renovating and tearing it down. And so one end of that massive place out by LAX Airport, there'll be SoFi Stadium at the other end is going to be where the Clippers are going to play their basketball games in what used to be the Fabulous Forum, as they called it in the day.
Finally going to break away and have their own place.
Yeah, I mean, right now they're the third tenant in a four-tenant building, so I'm pretty sure they're not real happy with it. You get the Lakers get first choice of dates. You got the Kings get second choice of dates, and then you get the Clippers who, if there's any dates left, they get them. So that does pose a problem for them. And then, of course, we've been covering, LeBron James wanting to get an NBA team out in Vegas, and that's starting. That's actually starting to move in a direction at that point. We're not sure where at the moment. There's that, and then of course there's the chance that the Oakland Athletics could move down to Vegas where they would be playing baseball. And of course, who wants to play baseball? Everybody does in 114-degree heat and no humidity. So
give it 5 years, Vegas will have a team in every major sport in America.
Which of course, and we speak about this from a gaming standpoint. 10 years ago, I mean, it was foreboding. You didn't even talk about the possibility of playing anything in Vegas. I mean, it was not going to happen. And then
you go there to bet on the games, not to watch the games.
Not to play. Hey, come on, you're not going to play. So now every major sports league has embraced them. College sports has embraced them, and so all of a sudden, Vegas is the hot place to have a team. So we get the Raiders there. I get a huge kick out of Mark Davis, the owner of the Raiders, not wanting the Oakland Athletics to move into his new city, which given the grief that the Raiders gave the A's over the years, that's kind of rich, but okay. Good on you, Mark. Share and share alike. So they got a $350 million deal, which is not going to build a stadium. I mean, they're going to have to come up with over $1 billion more to get that thing built. And where they're going to find it, I don't know. But I think they're starting to look at people's couches and other places where they might have coinage still left to get that up to that point. But anyway.
Well, the thing I'm curious about with that now is they got an expansion NHL team.
Right.
They wanted an expansion MLS team. They lost a bit to San Diego, but I'm sure that'll be coming. The MLS is still plans on expanding. They plan on relocating the A's, so they're going to get a relocation baseball team.
Right.
And they got a relocated NFL team. So now I ask you, this NBA team that LeBron is trying to get to Vegas, is this going to be an expansion team or is it going to be a relocation? Because if it's a relocation, who's getting relocated? And if it's an expansion, what's the second team coming in?
My guess is it's expansion because expansion gives you more money than relocating. Okay. If you see the relocations, Memphis, that's the Grizzlies went to Memphis. And then, of course, Seattle lost the Sonics to Oklahoma City. Those were relocated. They were small cities. So the relocation fees were not really much. So my guess is I don't really see an existing franchise that makes sense to move. So that would lead me to believe that you're going to go to an NBA expansion team. So then there would have to be something in the East, because if you're not going to have two expansion teams in one, in the West, it would have to balance out. You'd have to have something in the East to do it, or you'd have to have a team that's in the West or Midwest. I mean, theoretically, if it were me, you could move New Orleans to the East, right? So moving teams to the East, Memphis could be moved. So you could accommodate that, and then you could do two out in the West. because I
Well,
do.
we did see the NHL do that a few years ago.
Yeah.
They moved Detroit from the west to the east, which they
Right.
should have been in the east from the beginning.
They were in the West when they literally started the league. The original 8. And at that time Detroit was West. I mean, they kind of paired them with Chicago. So anyway, I think that's the right. And so the second city, in my mind, would either be Vancouver or Seattle would get a team back.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. One of those two for sure.
Because in all fairness, Seattle 100% supported the team when the team was there. It wasn't because fans didn't go to the games. It was because the owner didn't like the deal that he had with the arena. So he moved it, and he's the only game in town in Oklahoma City, which is the same thing over in Memphis. And so they don't mind the small markets in the NBA because you get that. So like a Louisville might be entertaining for them, but that's I don't think they're going there. But Nashville is right now the hottest for everything. Nashville, Major League Baseball came out with players. They did a poll and voted on where would they like to see the next expansion team, and overwhelmingly it was Charlotte. I'm sorry, it was Nashville. So Nashville's hot right now.
Well, that's something we've talked about, right? That's if they're going to expand, you got to give one to Nashville and then maybe one to Vancouver, and that makes a lot of sense. But obviously, they want one to Vegas too. So Vegas is going to get it over Vancouver, 100%.
Well, the Vegas thing is, if you're an expansion fan and want to see Vancouver get a team, right? Then you're rooting for the A's to move because that way. Definitely. It takes them off the board. It takes Vegas off the board. So, I mentioned that on Twitter the other day and said, if you are a fan of, these 3 or 4 cities that potentially could get, an NBA team, then I'm sorry, an Major League Baseball team, you're going to want to watch what happens to the A's. You're going to want the A's to move. And then all the A's fans, of course, piled on, nuts on that. But it's like, hey, look, get rid of the owner. Don't come screaming to me.
Look, we see you, we hear you, but the owners in the MLB doesn't. So I don't know what you want us to do. You sold out a Tuesday night game against the Rays. Well, not really sold out, but you filled up.
Well, I think they don't. They cut off the what they call the tank, which is top deck. So they cut the tank off. So theoretically, they were close. It's close to 30,000, so 27,000 is pretty close. And my understanding was, if they after 25,000 people got in the ballpark, they literally just let people come in. So it probably was 30,000 or even a little bit more.
You didn't even need a ticket; just come in and stand. We haven't seen you. We haven't seen you in years, and we're not going to see you years after this. Just come on in.
It's a farewell tour. That. I do recall. Now, this is going back to when Cleveland moved from Cleveland to Baltimore. I do recall doing a game in Cleveland, and a football game must have been for CBS, and it wasn't pretty. I mean, the people there they had just been announced that they were going to go and move to Baltimore, and so nobody was showing up, and people who were showing up were pissed off, and all the stadium, all the sponsors in the stadium, where the signage was, wanted that draped over. They didn't want their names to be known any longer. My friend who owned the radio rights lost about $3.6 million in radio revenue. It was just a horrible thing. But the funny thing in a just what kind of happened situation, had Modell not moved the franchise, had he left it in Cleveland, his head coach was Bill Belichick. His defensive coordinator was Nick Saban. They quit because they did not want to move to Baltimore because they felt they sided with the fans. Then Belichick goes, Parcells wants to install him as the head coach of the Jets. That is not what Belichick wanted. Belichick decides, as Parcells is announcing him as the head coach, almost, I say within 24 hours, of the head coaching job. He took Patriots' job. Saban decides he's going to go and coach, at where did he go? It wasn't Alabama first. It was LSU, I think. So Saban goes to LSU. Belichick goes to New England, and both of them, or at least certainly for sure, Belichick would have stayed with the Browns had they not moved to Baltimore. So there's a long and painful story of how coaches sometimes don't get where they want to get, and it happens that way.
So Cleveland's been dogging it for a long time.
Yep.
This is what I'm hearing.
It's terrible. But your boy Baker Mayfield is doing good things down in Tampa Bay. My reports from Buccaneers is that they like the way he's playing.
Yeah, the good old Brady replacement. And honestly, Jim, I'm ready to burn my Cardinals jerseys and buy Tampa Bay Buccaneers ones. But I won't burn the jerseys just because as much as I am starting to hate this franchise.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that too. But it's because I will not disgrace the name of Larry Fitzgerald. He is on my jersey.
No, that's a fair. Yes, that's a fair.
And my other one is Patrick Peterson. And, say what you want about the guy, but I don't blame him for leaving. I would too. I was pissed off when he left, but, can you blame the guy?
I can't. I mean, it's like, what do you want me to do? I can't play 7 positions. Okay. It's, I don't know. There's a vibe from, we'll get Rock Riley come up on the show and talk about the Bucs, but Rock was telling me the other day that there's just this Baker Mayfield just wants he feels that this is probably the best receiver group he's had, and not because they're the most talented, but they run routes perfectly. They know what to do when the ball is in the air. And they also understand the importance of coming back and saving a quarterback's ass when, you have to break a route off, which I think is highly underrated in pro football.
Yeah, a lot of receivers like to just stand while your quarterback's scrambling, and it's like, do you want to help the guy out? Like, right. If you just stand 80 yards downfield, he's never going to get the ball because you finished your route and just stop.
Yeah, if you look at some of these guys who are great at breaking routes off, when they see the quarterback, I mean, they're paying attention. They see the quarterback, and they go, okay, he's going that, I'm going to break the route off. And sometimes, you hit a guy on something like that, and you can end up, with a 56-yard pass on a 4-yard pass, because the guy's breaking it off. The D-back is running downfield, not covering anybody, just because he thinks the guy's still running. So, yeah, you get stuff there. But so he seems to be quite comfortable, and, of course, he's got running backs who can catch the ball too. So he's been embraced. Let's put it that way. He's been embraced by the team, embraced by the offensive coordinators, and made to feel welcome. That's all you can do.
You can say what you want about the guy, but he played the year he was so bad. He played with a harness on. He could have just sat out that season and played for Cleveland. Yeah, and they just dogged him. He's a guy. He's always going to have a chip on his shoulder. And he's always going to go out there and try to win. I really don't know a player right now in the league that likes to win games more than him.
Mhm.
It gets down to his soul. And you know what? Going back to the receiver thing, hey, receivers can call audibles too. Just
Sure.
when they do it, it's called high football IQ, making a
Right.
play on the ball.
Right.
So yeah, and when you played 2-3 years with Tom Brady, those are things he's gonna teach you.
Mhm.
Okay, you got to come bail my ass out if I'm gonna get hit here. I need some help, right? I'm 40 years old.
And to your point, okay, if you watch Brady, whenever you see him come back when he was on the field, and a player would come back, you'd see him either put his hand on the guy's shoulder or grab a guy, put his hand on the helmet, something like that, and he would sit there and talk to the guy and say, "Hey, look, that route you just ran, okay, that was the route you were supposed to run, but no, don't do that again." Or if the guy dropped the ball, or if the guy, he was always teaching and talking. And then when he would go to the sidelines, when he wasn't breaking, the pads that they had on the side, the Microsoft pads, he was attacking.
Surface pads.
Yeah, thank you. So he's crushing those. Once he finished that, he would go over and talk to the wide receivers and say, or he'd talk to the running backs, or he'd talk to the offensive line. He was always talking up and saying, look, taking ownership of what he did wrong, but also trying to say, okay, let's do this, this right way. And I think that Baker Mayfield wants just to be at a team where he feels comfortable that he's really won. And
yeah, that's the other thing.
It's not the case in Carolina, because when he got there, what was one of the first things they did when he got him? They traded Christian McCaffrey. It's like, you're kidding me. The third game, you trade Christian McCaffrey, basically the only offensive player he has to play. Then he ends up in Los Angeles only because, of Stafford getting hurt. They were hurt. The team was hurt. And so, he's got a MASH squad out there that he's got to look, try to make look good. So
I thought he played well on those last few games.
He did. It wasn't his fault. And so, to get a fresh start, to get a team that, has not had a lot of turnover. They Leonard Fournette's not back, but that's okay. They've got some good young running back. And they got Chris Godwin. They got the wide receiving core still the same. They got their tight ends and all that is still in shape. And they got, most importantly, their offensive line. So they'll be, they would have to be the preeminent favorites, at least in the South, and certainly to make the playoffs. So you're giving him a team that he can win with. You're giving him an offense and a coach that believes in him. So, I think good things can happen. We always use the caveat if he stays healthy and if the team stays healthy, but take that caveat away. And if it works, then I think that this will be a good year for Baker to really silence any of the critics who feel that, whatever he had done in the past was not worthy of being called a NFL franchise quarterback.
All right, Jim, you got me sold. I'm ordering my Baker Bucks jersey. It's coming in the mail.
I don't even know what number it is.
I don't know what number it is either.
So I don't know.
He'll take what he can get at this point. He's just happy to still be a starter.
Yeah, I mean, it was number 8, was it, in college? And then he was number 8 with Cleveland. I don't know what he was with the Panthers. I think he was a double digit number with the.
Maybe he'll take the good old 12.
Yeah. It's not like they're going to retire it. There's that.
Yeah, I think only New England could retire his jersey at this point.
Yeah, I think that would be. Yeah, I think that would be good. I think retiring somebody after 3 seasons is a little bit,
Like, yeah, he brought you a Super Bowl, but that was kind of just like his victory lap.
Ira Kaufman, who is someone who a hilarious guy. Ira is a former columnist for the Tampa Tribune, and of course the Tribune went out of business, so he writes for the Pewter Report. Ira is the guy who has the Hall of Fame vote in Tampa. So he, whenever there's the Hall of Fame, the way that works is 35 to 40 people who have a vote in for the Pro Football Hall of Fame meet the day before the Super Bowl, and then they take their list and like Ira would get up and say, okay, I'm going to I'm going to argue for my Buccaneer player who I think, or it doesn't have to be Buccaneer, whomever you feel deserves a shot to get in the Hall. So you get up and you make your speech. And so Ira was joking and said to Tom Brady, do you want me to, you've retired, do you want me to make your pitch for the Hall of Fame? And Tom thought it was funny. He said, Ira, I don't know if anybody in New England's going to do it for me. So if you want to go ahead and do it, he goes, I'll do it for you on one condition. He goes, what's that? He goes, you wear a Buccaneers hat to go into the Hall of Fame. He goes, I don't know about that one, Ira. We'll see how that goes. But, Ira's story was that the guy from the Green Bay, when he got up to do Brett Favre, he goes, yes, I'd like to nominate Brett Favre for the Hall of Fame. And then he sat down. He didn't say another word. So it's like, drop the mic and just, I got Brett Favre. What do I have to say?
Don't need an explanation for that one.
Yeah. The one, and I swear to God, I'll stop at this one. The one where Ira said that he had a little bit of angst was about Warren Sapp. There is nobody who talked more smack than Warren Sapp. He would talk it to his team. Now, this is it. Nobody may even have been paying attention to him, but Warren didn't care. Okay, he was off that Miami, the U, man, where everybody talks smack on you. So he's just screaming at everybody, and he wasn't a particularly good guy with the media either. So I was trying to think, okay, wait, Warren deserves this. I'm not crazy about how he handled this, but he deserves it, I think. So he calls up Ray Lewis, and he calls up a couple of other guys who played with him at the U and also who played with the Bucs that retired. And he goes, look, I'm thinking of nominating Warren for for the Hall of Fame. What do you think? And he said, Ray Lewis said, you know what? He said, Warren is a total jerk. Okay. He says, but he's the best damn, nose tackle I've ever seen. He said, so nobody said it has to be the Hall of Nice. It's the Hall of Fame. So, by all means. So he was a first ballot Hall of Famer. Didn't have to worry about that one. Sapp got it. Not on the first one, but I totally agree with Ray. It's not the Hall of Nice. It's just the Hall of Fame for what you do on the field.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
We'll have to bring the debate someday on whether or not Pete Rose deserves a spot in the Baseball Hall of Fame.
Absolutely.
But that's another
He
topic.
never bet against his team. Absolutely deserves a spot.
And the thing is, and this is again a little history question thing for those of you out there who are not big sports history buffs. In 1962, the NFL suspended Paul Hornung, who at the time was the top running back in professional football, and Alex Karras, who would later go on to do TV and movies, as well as, of course, play football, and for gambling. They had a 1-year suspension. They came back in 64 and continued to play. So I guess Pete was different in that regard. Abe Bartlett Giamatti, who was the commissioner of baseball, who suspended Pete Rose, was a total jerk. Okay, I say this on a personal level. I'm sorry.
As commissioners usually are.
True, but Bart took it to a level higher. He took it to a jerkdom that was
He
beyond.
got personal with it.
Oh, he was not a pleasant human being on any level, but it was interesting to say the least. And he did that. And ironically, on the day he passed, I was doing a game at I almost said Sky Dome. I'm sorry, Rogers Center, and it was a Blue Jays game and against the Minnesota Twins, and we got the news that Bart had passed, and so ran the tape and gave our homage to him, which I'm quite sure the two broadcasters who I was working with, who I know loathed him. I give them great credit for being, gentlemen at that particular time. And it was, I do. I remember that I was doing a game there that night, and that was the night that Bart passed. So there you go. Anyway, let me run through our scoreboard real quick for you on Major League Baseball. For those of you who may have bets and want to know what's going on. Top 9, Rays 7, Orioles 2. Reds and Rocks are still tied bottom of the 8th, top of the 8th. The Buccos and the Cubbies, it's 6-3 in favor of Chicago. Top 7, Tigers still lead the Royals by a score of 5-2. Mets are losing to the Astros in the top of the 2nd. Astros are up 2-0. Diamondbacks and Brewers have started. They're in the bottom of the 2nd. No score, and there is not yet. I don't see delay here, so it looks like they're going to get at least started in the Cardinals and the Nationals game. Myers Michaelis is pitching for the Cardinals, and Williams is pitching for Washington, not me. And then the games tonight, the Braves and the Phillies. That game is a 6:40 start at the Bank. We've got the Yankees in the Bronx, and they play the Mariners. Guardians are hosting the Athletics. Red Sox are at the Twins. Rangers are on the south side of Chicago playing the White Sox tonight. We got the Dodgers and the Angels in the Freeway Series tonight. I think that's Ohtani. Yeah, Ohtani's pitching for the Angels. We do not know who is pitching for the Dodgers yet. Hugh Darvish is pitching tonight for the San Diego Padres.
It's Michael Grove for the Dodgers.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
They don't show anybody here.
It's been listed on like half the sites since yesterday, and the other half just have it blank. And even when I woke up this morning, a few had it blank still. But it's Michael Grove.
Okay. Kevin Gausman got the win this afternoon. By the way, we got one final, and that is the Blue Jays 6 and the Marlins taking the loss. So there you go for your afternoon scoreboard right here. And let's run down real quick. Atlanta is at New York FC tonight. Cincinnati, Toronto, Montreal, Nashville, New York Red Bull against Charlotte, Orlando FC in the city of brotherly love. They're taking on Philadelphia. Houston and the Earthquakes face off. St. Louis and Salt Lake City. We got Austin and Dallas, Texas, Colorado and the Whitecaps, Galaxy and Sporting FC, LAFC taking on the Sounders, and Portland and Chicago. That's what we got here on today going for us. So anyway, any final things? Let's talk about where people can find you and some of the things they can find if they go over there this afternoon.
So you can get my plays at bigal.com and pickadvisor.com. I got a bunch of soccer up. I got 1 in Argentina, I got 3 in Brazil, 4 in the MLS, 3 baseball plays. So plenty of everything in every league. I'll leave you guys with the free plays, the Central Cordoba money line in the Argentina League, the Toronto FC and Cincinnati under. And I'll even throw you a baseball play. This one was good enough to be a premium play, but I didn't give it out as premium just because I have trust issues with this team. But I like the Chicago White Sox.
Okay. The Southsiders. Okay. Not a problem. All right, folks. We hope you had a lot of fun. We'll be back here tomorrow. And for Amadeus, I'm Jim. Enjoy your day. And we'll be back with you